May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Hello, happy Friday, everybody. You are tuned to May the Best Brand Win right here on Intertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. And I'm Scott, your host, and dare I say beatbox master? Maybe not. We can maybe do that in another segment. Scott and beatboxing. And with me on the air today is the man making everything work at Intertalk over there, Mr. Wade Taylor. How's it going, Wade?
Hey, pretty good, Scott. Pretty good. Happy to be joining you and very happy to be learning from you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, Wade is a great name. I'm a huge fan of the superhero Deadpool, and his alias, of course, is Wade Wilson. And so, have you seen?
Go ahead.
Have you seen Deadpool?
Bits and pieces of it. Crazy. and that is getting my name back into the deal. Wade Boggs was like one of the last
That's
times.
Right.
But I'm usually Wayne, Dwayne, Dwight. You know, it's amazing how badly it can be mangled sometimes.
Well, I like the name Wade. It's cool. And you just say it just like Deadpool. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, cool. Well, if you in listener land have a question for me, just email me at scott@robertsoncom.com. And I will answer anything that comes my way right here on the show. Always happy to do that. And I got one of those this week. Somebody wants to hear a little bit more about my thoughts on LinkedIn and maximizing that. And I'm not going to do that in this show. However, I am going to dedicate an entire show just to digging into LinkedIn. It's a big topic, so there's a lot to cover there. So I will get to your request on that, I promise. Also, you can find my posts and my client news clips and tidbits from around the world of marketing on my Robertson.com Facebook page or Twitter at Robertson.com. Just reach out and connect with me. You'll be entertained. You'll get some tips, too. I was just in L.A. for the E3, the Electronic Entertainment Expo trade show this week. And one of the things that amazes me is, folks in that industry don't exchange business cards. What they do is they follow each other on Twitter. And I had several interactions where I, offered up a business card, and they said, no, check this out. And so they flipped their phone around, and they said, they go, what's your handle? And I was like, at Robertson.com. And they said, great, I just followed you. And then I said, okay, well, what's yours? And then I found them, and I followed them as well. So, the paper business card, it was really the first year that I'd really seen people reaching out and using Twitter in that sort of almost like a contacts list sort of way. But it was cool. The show was cool, by the way, too. The virtual reality stuff that I saw was really, really amazing. And I'm always about the latest tech, and especially in the video game side of things. I must confess, I spend way too much time playing video games, especially for a 46-year-old man. I would definitely throw that out there. But I love video games. I love the stories behind them, and they're so incredibly intricate, and they just require as many people as it does to produce a feature film these days. They really have advanced, in powerful ways. And the virtual reality stuff that's coming is really, really interesting. I sat through a demo of a virtual reality spa, where you basically put on the headphones and the goggles, and you're just getting this whole spa, treatment, and they're saying relaxing things to you and everything, on a beach, and it was very cool. I could definitely see VR being used that way. So it's not all just about running around and shooting people. There's some very cool things to be had in virtual reality. I may do a show on just virtual reality, but today's show is called Getting Paid. And it's all about paid media, which is sort of the new term for advertising. Paid ads are still a really good way to support any marketing communications effort. But honestly, they don't have the trust and the impact that they did back in the Mad Men days. But if you're going to push a message or a brand, you'd better have some skill, in both the creative and the business deal-making sides of things. Ad agencies have their creatives, but they have their deal makers too. They have their media buyers. They have their researchers. They have their all those skill sets are important to have if you're going to delve into the wild world of advertising. And of course, we're going to look into who's winning and who's losing out there in the world of marketing this week as well. But so let's talk about advertising. Let's give a little background first. A few stats and facts about the ad industry in the United States. By the way, the United States is by far the largest advertising market in the world. In 2015, the industry was worth about 180 billion US dollars in advertising. Big. If you look at the pie even further, you can see quite a bit of television. By the way, the figure is more than double the amount spent in advertising in China, which is the second largest ad market in the world. And forecasts show really healthy projections in the ad market. And in 2016, media advertising spending is expected to reach 200 billion US dollars this year. That would be a record. Television is certainly the biggest medium, and it's projected to maintain that market lead in 2016. TV advertising revenue is forecast to grow from 71 billion US dollars to about 75 US billion dollars in 2016. So it's big, right? The entire advertising industry, obviously led by some of your big horses in the race, right? Which are your automobiles, consumer products, alcoholic beverages, clearly. But a new one that's really gaining ground, and I'm sure you've noticed if you're watching sports or really anything on national TV, is pharmaceuticals. Big Pharma has a lot of ads. They even have their own template of kind of how they do their ads. And, obviously where they list all the side effects at the end. Saturday Night Live did a great thing where they even made fun of their whole advertising template. So let's talk about a few industry leaders' insights on advertising. Karen Zuckerman, who's the chief creative officer and president and co-founder of HZDG, big ad agency, says that agencies will continue to move away from the hard sell approach to advertising. Consumers bring an emotional perspective to the brand preference, meaning they will buy what they relate to, like, and trust. Now, Karen gets it, right? And you would expect that, right? But that is exactly right. The consumers bring the emotional perspective to the brand preference, right? And brands have to find a way to tie into that. That is definitely state-of-the-art marketing thinking coming out of her right there. Perfect. Eric Lee, who from Anomaly Shanghai, had some interesting things to say. He said that e-commerce will become a brand-building platform. Really, in November 11th, 2015, according to him, says it saw one of the world's biggest single-day sales through e-commerce, which was $14.3 billion in U.S. dollars in 24 hours. Majority of the sales were within mainland China. Fascinating. E-commerce is already part of people's life in China, and he says the development is getting deeper into people's lives. And he references Alibaba and digs into a few more things like that. And Tom Bernardin from Leo Burnett, and I love Leo Burnett. They came up with Snap, Crackle, and Pop for Rice Krispies. They had McDonald's for a long time. McDonald's and You was one of their theme taglines. And I like what he has to say, too. He says, a lot has changed in our industry, and the pace of change is accelerating. I'd argue that our industry has experienced more transformation in the last 10 years since I became CEO, in the previous 70 since Leo Burnett was founded. And that's really important because these big firms, they don't want to wake up one day and realize, oh, wait, somebody moved the cheese and now we don't know what we're doing. I want to offer a couple of my own insights regarding advertising. Advertising is not my favorite go-to-market weapon. It's not the arrow that I choose first. And that's not because it's expensive and I'm cheap. It's because all the consumers that live here on planet Earth now have grown up with advertising, right? And according to the latest trust data, they don't trust it. They believe that, there's a part of their subconscious that when an ad is running that they say, this is probably an exaggeration or quite possibly a flat-out lie. And while the FTC does guard against, lying in advertising, they can't be everywhere at once, and they really hit only the most egregious offenders. There's plenty of, kind of stretching of the truth that goes on in advertising because you control the message, and really only your own kind of values and moral compass really can guide you. And unfortunately for us as consumers, not everybody's moral compass is pointed in the same direction. So that's why it's not one of my favorite things to do. I do like to support things that I'm doing in PR, in social media, in events, and things like that with advertising. And one of the reasons I like that is I'm a control freak. I love being able to control exactly how the message is going to come from companies that I represent. And in PR, as we talked about, you get ready to jump on Mr. Toad's wild ride of not having control of your message. On the plus side, you get the trust, you get the believability, you get the respect, you get the visibility, you get all those things on the PR side. But nothing beats advertising when it comes to control. It feels really good. It feels really good because you create a creative piece of content and nobody messes with it. Nobody does, as long as they either print it okay or they run it okay and there's no technical issues. What you see is kind of what you get on that. And it's really great. I like advertising for that reason because of the control freak in me, and I like to use it as a supporting mechanism. Almost everything that we, that I do for my clients, I'm almost always having conversations about, and what does the advertising support for this effort look like? That's why they call it a marketing mix, right? There's a lot of things in there that go to work towards the same objective. And, we're going to dig a lot more in this program into advertising. We're going to talk about great advertising. We're going to talk about what's going on in the music industry for advertising. So come on back to May the Best Brand Win right here on InterTalk, the undisputed leader at Music Biz Talk. We'll see you in a few.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to record on a Grammy award-winning album? Have you ever wondered what it's like to play in front of a stadium crowd? Have you ever wondered what it's like to be on a world tour? I'm Jackie Bertoni, and I've played with the who's who in the music industry, and I've toured the world. Come join my world, Behind the Velvet Rope, and get into the groove on Jackie's Groove. Live 2 p.m. Mondays and available 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com.
Hey, it's Catherine from Listen Local Radio. Moe's Guitars has proudly served the San Diego music community since 1975. Specializing in guitars, basses, mandolins, banjos, and ukuleles, they buy, sell, trade, and consign. If you're looking for lessons, repairs, accessories, and cool gear, you found the right place. Located in downtown La Mesa Village, stop by and check out their digs or visit moesguitars.com or their Facebook page. MOZEguitars.com, 619-698-1185.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on InterTalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Which sandwich is healthy and tasty? Which sandwich can come on bread or in a bowl? Which sandwich comes 51 different ways, so it's always your way? A which sandwich. Stop into our shop in Hazard Center. We're upstairs from the Hazard Center Digiplex. Bring in your movie ticket. We will add a free drink and chips to your sandwich order. Or order online at whichwich.com, and we will have it ready and waiting. WHICHWICH. Whichwich.com.
Has your business been appified? Are you tired of doing marketing that doesn't deliver results? Mobile apps build loyalty and quality retention. Your app from UPG Mobile puts your business on their mind and at their fingertips. UPG Mobile will give you a custom app highlighting how you are unique, targeting your message, and improving your open rates. Appify your business and amplify your presence with your customers at upgmobilemarketinggroup.com.
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Getting paid with some advertising today. Happy Friday. You are tuned right back to May the Best Brand Win on Intertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. I'm still Scott. We're talking about paid advertising today. With me on the air is our man back in the studio, Wade Taylor. How's it going, Wade?
Oh, it's going great. Southern California living, you don't have a lot to complain about.
That's right, man. So what do you think about paid advertising? You guys do quite a bit of that at the station.
Oh, well, that's our reason for existing. So, you're speaking definitely into my wheelhouse. You might say that Intertalk Radio is powered by WSRadio.com. That's my entity. And,
right on.
And fundamentally, we are a content marketing creator because that's needed in today's big marketing mix. Like you said, it's a big marketing mix. And one of the things that people like folds into what you're saying there at the very end, control. I can do the PR, I can do the earned advertising, I can do this range of things, but if I can't, or just simply there are times that I really want to control the message and the framing of the message. And really you only get that control when you pay, correct?
Well, that's true. That's true. Like I said, control freaks everywhere get excited because advertising is your thing. It's just, obviously the consumers are extremely savvy in the world today. And, we all just kind of have take everything with a grain of salt, I guess, But I'm going to talk about that a little bit, too, as we move here into segment 2. We're going to talk about, let's talk about what is truly great advertising. And when we're talking about paid, we want to talk about what makes it truly great. When I was at journalism school in University of Missouri, and the sequence that I graduated in was advertising and public relations, and at University of Missouri, and we talked a lot about what is great advertising. And, of course, we read the books, Ogilvy on advertising, David Ogilvy, Ogilvy and Mather, all those kind of things, and studied, advertising's history. By the way, the show Mad Men is fantastic. If you're into advertising, especially television advertising and ad agencies and that kind of thing, that show, delves into so many great. It's a magnificent show, but particularly good if you want to kind of, study up in an entertaining way on what is good advertising. When I think of great advertising, I think of some of the iconic ads of the past, and I certainly I'm a big fan of the Apple brand, as you hear me talk about it a lot, and I'm a fan of their 1984 ad. I think it was. I remember seeing it. I remember being blown away by it. I remember, not seeing an ad like it before, and it opened up a new era of advertising, in what they were able to do. If you haven't seen the 1984 ad, let's say you're a youngster and you haven't seen that sucker, you should see it. You should see it and see what's, go on YouTube and find it or wherever you have to find it. But I think that is truly great advertising when it takes the whole idea of what you're doing in a different direction. I also was a huge fan of the Dove Real Beauty campaign. I thought it was magnificently done to show, and Dove has done it was great when it debuted, and Dove did a fantastic job of continuing to reinforce it and talk about real beauty and really go against some of these ideas that are put forth kind of honestly by the beauty industry about what is beautiful. And they've done such a magnificent job. I don't think you have a conversation about advertising, particularly television advertising, without talking about the Super Bowl. Every year, brands roll out their biggest and best and brightest ads. And as I said, there were 8 pharmaceutical ads in the last Super Bowl. So the pharma business must be doing pretty well, by the way. That could be a topic for another show. Always memorable. There's always a question of, if you're paying, $4 million a second, are you getting that back? how, and how do you justify that, and are you sure you're getting it back? On the radio side of things, I really liked the Bud Light Here's to You campaign, and I also liked the Most Interesting Man in the World radio ads. I actually liked them a little better than the TV ads. I thought that the radio ads, the copy was really sharp. It was extremely well done. It was funny. It was always very different. Same thing with those Bud Light ads. And now it sounds like I just listen to I'm an alcoholic and all I pay attention to is alcohol ads. That's not true, but they tend to shine. They tend to do great, and they have huge budgets, so they can push a message very deep. In the music industry, somebody asked me once, is there anything truly remarkable, going on in the music industry and advertising? Honestly, not really. I don't see it. I see a lot of speeds and feeds kind of ads. I see a lot of stuff that is not grounded in a very powerful message, doesn't evoke emotion, and just kind of talks about, hey, our instrument goes, does this, and then nothing really that just stands out in my mind. But that's not to say, I honestly think that there should be. If anything is deserving of great advertising, I think music products certainly would be deserving of that. And I think it's a good challenge out there. If you look through the magazines, again, you're just kind of hit with a big old dose of not very remarkable. So that brings me to my next topic, which is advertising blocking. I talk about it a lot on this show, as you might imagine. Ad blocking, and particularly on mobile devices. Everybody says, oh, mobile devices, you got to have your ads on mobile devices. You got to have your ads on mobile devices. You got to have your pay-per-click ads. You got to have your stuff going. Here's the thing. People don't want to hear don't want to see or hear from you when they're on their mobile devices. All right? You need to start with that. You got to start with it, right? The latest numbers really prove that, just from the UK, the numbers of people in the UK who are downloading and using ad blockers. By the way, it's a whole other industry. Blocking the ad industry's awful content is an entirely other industry in and of itself. And that is shameful, marketers out there. That is shameful. The survey shows 22% now use ad blockers, and that's increased from 18% just in October. And 80% of people who download ad blockers continue to use them. The main reason that people don't, by the way, is the fact that they have switched to a new device, or they're going to websites that refuse to show them content if you want to use such tools. That's a smart idea, by the way. What you want to do is you want to block people from seeing the content that they want because they are blocking the ads that you're putting out there that are horrible, awful, 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 awful. If there's one thing that my agency stands against, it's exactly that. So people, the survey also showed that people are most likely to switch off their ad blocker only for their favorite or most frequently used sites. Why do people block ads? According to the survey, are you ready for it? Drum roll, please. The main reason is the ads interfere with what they're doing. And the next biggest reason is that there's too many of them. And actually only 12% block ads because they find them too irrelevant. So that's pretty good. That's actually pretty good. So at least they're kind of, in their relevancy side of things. This is my sermon for this ad blocking part of it, folks. There's no reason, if you're a marketer, there is no reason that people should be blocking your content. If you have done your homework and you know them and you know what emotions they're bringing to the party, and you have something remarkable and you've created great creative and your relevancy is good and you're up there, there is no reason that people shouldn't want your content, want your advertising content. The reason they don't, I think it's just laziness. I think that companies get lazy and say, okay, this is all about us, and we're gonna, and we can, part of that control thing I was talking about. It feels really good. Oh, we can control it. It really appears like it's working, especially on mobile devices, and that's where a lot of advertising is going. We have an epidemic of people blocking content. Here's my question to you: why would people ever block your content if it helps them? Why? Why would they ever consider blocking your content unless you as a marketer have done something awful to them? such as I was just on an E3 page. I was just on CNET.com. And I was trying to watch a video from a video game trailer from something I wanted to see. Every single video on the page, and they had like 8 videos, plays the same trailer for this one annoying video game over and over again. And I'm sure that sounds really good. Oh, well, we've got great reach and frequency. We've got this video, and it's going to be up and down this page. It's going to be great. Here's the thing. While the video plays before every video I want to see, I hate that game. I hate that company. I absolutely am frustrated. I want to get to my video. You know, I enjoyed seeing your trailer the first time. It looks really good. By the way, it's a Tom Clancy video game. It looks really exciting. I'll probably play it. But the bottom line is, I despise that video game because it's blocking the fact that I'm trying to get to what I want to see, right? Advertising industry, listen up. Be remarkable. Do what Seth Godin says. If your content is remarkable, if your marketing is remarkable, then that's the stuff that people are going to want to get their hands on. And if you are not remarkable, then consider whether you should be there at all. You know, consider the relationship. Consider what the status of the relationship is going to look like when you have to send content to people and they have to download additional applications to block you. If they have to block you and do all this work, then they hate you. They hate you, right? The goal is they're supposed to love you. So stop it, is what I have to say about that. Thank you very much. You are tuned to May the Best Brand Win, back here on InnerTalk. Come on back. We're going to talk about who's winning and who's losing, and then we're going to give you some tips about how you can make paid work for you. See you in a few.
Hey, it's Catherine from Listen Local Radio. Moe's Guitars has proudly served the San Diego music community since 1975. Specializing in guitars, basses, mandolins, banjos, and ukuleles, they buy, sell, trade, and consign. If you're looking for lessons, repairs, accessories, and cool gear, you found the right place. Located in downtown La Mesa Village, stop by and check out their digs or visit moesguitars.com or their Facebook page. mozeguitars.com, 619-698-1185.
Which sandwich is healthy and tasty? Which sandwich can come on bread or in a bowl? Which sandwich comes 51 different ways, so it's always your way? A which sandwich. Stop into our shop in Hazard Center. We're upstairs from the Hazard Center Digiplex. Bring in your movie ticket. We will add a free drink and chips to your sandwich order. Or order online at whichwich.com, and we will have it ready and waiting. WHICHWICH. Whichwich.com.
Has your business been appified? Are you tired of doing marketing that doesn't deliver results? Mobile apps build loyalty and quality retention. Your app from UPG Mobile puts your business on their mind and at their fingertips. UPG Mobile will give you a custom app highlighting how you are unique, targeting your message, and improving your open rates. Appify your business and amplify your presence with your customers at upgmobilemarketinggroup.com.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to record on a Grammy award-winning album? Have you ever wondered what it's like to play in front of a stadium crowd? Have you ever wondered what it's like to be on a world tour? I'm Jackie Bertoni, and I've played with the who's who in the music industry, and I've toured the world. Come join my world, behind the velvet rope, and get into the groove on Jackie's Groove. Live 2 p.m. Mondays and available 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on InterTalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Yeah, hey, you are back with May the Best Brand Win right here on Intertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. I'm still Scott, and still with me on the air is our man back at the studio, Wade Taylor. How's it going, Wade?
Beautiful, beautiful. And again, you're preaching or singing to the choir, however you want to say that, because everything you're saying is in harmony with everything that I'm pursuing.
I love that. Yeah, absolutely.
You're talking about the advertising and how in many ways we've poisoned the well. You know, if people are trying to avoid what we do, we should maybe self-reflect.
A little bit.
One way to address that, you know, kind of an angle that we take is just focusing on share a story of someone that benefited from what you do. And if you start and focus and lead with that, you're quite a bit less annoying, I think.
I agree. And you're helping people. You know, I mean, I don't think there's anybody out there that, you know, if they're seeking out the content, if they're getting something out of it, aside from just an empty sales pitch, then that's going to be, that's going to be great. Give me your quote about the beach again. I like that.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's just understanding, looking at from their viewpoint, not pushing things, creating the environment. You don't sell people suntan lotion. You tell them about how cool it is to be at the beach. They'll go buy the suntan lotion. And
beautiful.
And if I may throw this one other thing in, what we do here is help people produce hour-long shows that, help with this kind of concept. But the one thing I emphasize is our lives are about 3 hours long. That's about how long from when you get off work till you go to bed. Mm-hmm. And we're asking somebody to give us one of those hours. True. Recognize how precious it is and give them something of value in return. And doesn't that resonate with what you're saying?
Oh, absolutely. I agree with that 100%, and there's just so few advertisers that consider the audience. They're so excited about being able to push their message that they just lack that one key marketing thing, which is empathy. Put yourself in their position. You don't, I just think it's missing from a lot of marketing approaches. I think marketing misses empathy. And ironically enough, when you're trying to build relationships, empathy is extraordinarily important. It's extraordinarily important. Let's talk about who's winning and losing out there this week. This week, losing, I would say, is the written word. Facebook announced this week that within 5 years, they believe that there will not be any text left on the site. It will be all video. All the writers in the marketing world just had a heart attack and just realized that, video, it's going to be all video. Think about it. I would say probably video and little modern-day cave paintings known as emojis. I was just at the San Diego Fair, by the way. My band was playing there. And they have hats now that are like emojis. And, they have the little poop emoji. And kids are wearing that on their head as a hat. So, A, why? And B, why? So that's happening, just so you know. Just want to throw that out there that I saw a lot of that at the San Diego Fair. Emojis are hats now, and one of the most popular ones is, a piece of poop. Anyway, let's talk about who else is losing out there, and that would be this gene editing tool, which sounds horrific to begin with. Scientists are like, hey, let's edit genes. What could possibly go wrong? Like, they haven't seen The Fly. They haven't seen any science fiction movies at all, apparently. And, by the way, we'll be battling whatever creature they end up coming up with in the lab here in the next few years. But the name for this thing is horrific. So a federal advisory committee is set to review a proposal to use, I'm not making this up, I swear to God, CRISPR, CRISPR, the cheap, powerful, and buzzy, really, gene editing tool on human patients for the first time. Okay, branding perspective here. CRISPR is a terrible name. It's a terrible name for something that edits genes. By the way, it also, when you put it in front of somebody like me, it looks like the words crisis PR, right? It looks exactly like crisis PR. And by the way, ironically enough, probably going to be some crisis PR associated with the gene editing that's happening. Let's talk about who's winning. IBM and Watson. IBM just announced recently that they are going to have their AI, Watson, which can make drinks, detect sarcasm, and play Jeopardy really well. Now they are going to put Watson behind the wheel. They've got these new autonomous electric minibuses that are going to be powered by IBM's famously friendly AI. Personally, I think they should put all the AIs, because AI's in a room. Put Watson and Siri and Cortana and Joshua from War Games back in the 80s together. Let them fight it out. Whoever wins gets to drive all the cars, right? You get all the cars. And sure, you can enslave humanity too. That's fine. Let's talk about who else is winning. Guitar Center just named a new president, finally. Ron Chapinga assumes a leadership role, and previously he was in charge of supply chain for the industry's largest retailer. Kind of interesting to see a supply chain guy, be the head of the company. Right? You don't always think of I know a lot of people that do supply chain management and risk management and all those kind of things, associated with the supply chain. And, not always your best leaders in the world, got to say, and not always your most articulate leaders in the world. But it is an interesting move. It's definitely a win for Guitar Center, because the fact that they had an interim president and they just hadn't made this announcement, and now they've got this new president and CEO from the supply chain. Let's talk about losing. Okay, so this horrific events happened in the Orlando nightclub, and the world rushed to provide its sharing of the sorrow and the grief that everybody's feeling about this tremendous tragedy and the fact that this is a terrorist act. And there's a county in Alabama that Alabama County officials refused to lower flags to half-staff to honor the victims of the Orlando mass shooting, even after the federal government has done that, and the governor of Alabama, Robert Bentley, ordered the flags to be lowered. And they said their heart goes out to the victims, but the incident doesn't meet the test of a reason for the flag to be lowered. Listen up, Alabama, okay? And obviously you have no PR staff. Can I throw that out there first? If you do have PR staff, you are clearly not listening to them. You look ridiculously out of touch with what's going on when you do stupid stuff like this. Who refuses to lower the flag to half staff after a terrorist guns down a bunch of people, in our country? Hello? I want to make sure this thing's on. I mean, that is nuts. That is absolutely nuts to do that. And I don't know what this county is thinking about, Baldwin County or whatever, but they need to rethink everything that they're doing and really why they're even here, to be honest. And just while we're on the subject of the terrorist attacks, there is a real communications element to dealing with terrorism, I think. And I think that our country sort of misses the point. So terrorists are kind of like little kids, right? They do things in order to create a reaction, right? In this case, the terrorists want to see, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, they want to see the United States of America buckle. They don't care about killing a few Americans. They want to see the idea of America tarnished. And just from a public relations and communications standpoint, the way to tarnish that idea is to show the people of the United States of America acting out of fear, reacting, doing all the things that our values and that our forefathers have set up the country not to do, is a good way to say it. They believe, and we did it after San Bernardino, whether it's talking about closing our borders or restricting our guns or, restricting our Second Amendment rights. We're doing all those things. Here's my point, and I don't want to get into gun control or immigration or anything else, but you don't ever do anything as a reaction to somebody's behavior against you. Because if you do, parents, what happens? Ladies and gentlemen, let's use our parenting 101. If you give in to a child, small child, that does something to get attention, how likely is that behavior to occur again? Right? We got to treat them like children. You got to ignore them, If they're doing stuff to act up, you got to give them a timeout. You got to do some other things. But you cannot allow somebody like a child or a terrorist or anyone else to create a reaction in you, and especially a reaction that causes you to look at the freedoms of the United States of America. There is no greater. If we did that, if we do that, then we just open the doors for everyone to continue to terrorize us, because they realize these people are afraid and they can be had, and they can absolutely, we'll just keep doing these kind of things and see if America will continue to restrict its freedom. Now, this show isn't about politics and that kind of thing. Personally, I'd be happy if Siri or Watson or Joshua, whoever wins the cage match, can be president as far as I'm concerned. But, I do think that there's a real important communications element to this whole thing that needs to be thought through, and as Americans, we need to be immovable, in that. So we're still talking about paid media. That's who's winning and losing, but you're tuned to May the Best Brand Win right here on InterTalk. Come on back. We're going to give you some tips about how to do paid the right way. Talk to you in a few.
Which sandwich is healthy and tasty? Which sandwich can come on bread or in a bowl? Which sandwich comes 51 different ways, so it's always your way? A which sandwich. Stop into our shop in Hazard Center. We're upstairs from the Hazard Center Digiplex. Bring in your movie ticket. We will add a free drink and chips to your sandwich order. Or order online at whichwich.com, and we will have it ready and waiting. WHICH, whichwich.com.
Has your business been appified? Are you tired of doing marketing that doesn't deliver results? Mobile apps build loyalty and quality retention. Your app from UPG Mobile puts your business on their mind and at their fingertips. UPG Mobile will give you a custom app highlighting how you are unique, targeting your message, and improving your open rates. Appify your business and amplify your presence with your customers at upgmobilemarketinggroup.com.
Hey, it's Catherine from Listen Local Radio. Moe's Guitars has proudly served the San Diego music community since 1975. Specializing in guitars, basses, mandolins, banjos, and ukuleles, they buy, sell, trade, and consign. If you're looking for lessons, repairs, accessories, and cool gear, you found the right place. Located in downtown La Mesa Village, stop by and check out their digs or visit moesguitars.com or their Facebook page. mozeguitars.com, 619-698-1185.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on InterTalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to record on a Grammy award-winning album? Have you ever wondered what it's like to play in front of a stadium crowd? Have you ever wondered what it's like to be on a world tour? I'm Jackie Bertoni. and I've played with the who's who in the music industry, and I've toured the world. Come join my world, Behind the Velvet Rope, and get into the groove on Jackie's Groove. Live 2 p.m. Mondays and available 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com.
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Hey, you are back and tuned to May the Best Brand Win right here at InterTalk, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. I'm still Scott, still your host here in segment 4. You made it all the way, congratulations. And with me on the air, making sure all the segments go together, is Wade Taylor. How you doing, Wade?
Oh, doing great. And listening along raises just one question.
Yeah.
Where do we send the check for all this great information?
Send it to Wade Taylor at InterTalk Radio.
That works. But yeah,
Nice.
Looking forward to these tips. And again, it just is amazing the value of the information that you're sharing.
Wonderful. Well, thanks, Wade. Well, good. In the first segment here today, we talked about kind of, this kind of the state of the advertising industry, and where it's at, where the statistics look like. We talked about some insights from some leaders, and I gave a little of my insight as well. In segment 2, we talked about what is great advertising today. Issued a challenge to the music products industry out there is, but how can that advertising really be great? We talked about why people block advertising. We talked about the fortune story, about all the ad blockers that are going out there, and of course in segment 3 we dug into who's winning and losing out there. Here in segment 4, I like to make it all about you people, and we are talking about giving you some advertising tips and tricks. So my very first tip and trick here in big segment 4 is, have a plan. Research. It really does. It really still counts. Make sure you know what you're trying to do, and make sure that that you're advertising. You're advertising in the right vehicle. Just because you have the world's greatest, creative, going out there doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be able to reach your audience with that. You make sure you've done your due diligence correctly, and that you've got a good plan going on. And again, your advertising is probably going to play a supporting role to something else. So make sure that you've really, looked heavily at that. You've looked at that marketing mix, and you've said, hey, this is the right stuff for us, and we've got a solid plan that's research-based, and we kind of know how we're going to measure. Another mistake I see is that people are out there advertising, but they don't know what it is they're necessarily trying to do, and they don't know what it looks like when they get there. So, have something, have a benchmark. Make sure you know what who you're trying to reach, and that kind of thing. That's how you're going to know that what you're doing is having an impact out there. Tip number 2. Never be afraid to make deals. When you're doing your media buys, you've already done your creative. You've got, your creative is great and everything. But when you're doing the media buying side of things, make sure that you are, negotiating. Make sure that, pricing is always based on supply and demand in the advertising world, and make sure that you know that and that you are using that, and make sure that you're getting everything that you're supposed to be getting. Also, as the PR person in me would be remiss not to tell you that this is a fantastic time to start having conversations about, and is there any type of editorial support that is offered? Some publications and outlets will say, hey, that's separation of church and state. We absolutely won't talk about that. That's fine. You can always ask. You know what? I always ask. I'm in PR. I always ask. I always say, because maybe there's something, that we can delve into. We can tell, so much of the story and an advertising side of things, but we can tell much more of the story when it comes to editorial. And that helps them editorially, and it helps you advertising wise. And that's sort of what the partnership is supposed to be designed to do. number 3, and we touched on this earlier, but I'm just going to make sure I say it on the list. Don't ever put out ads that someone would ever consider blocking. If you have blockable ads, then you are the problem. You are exactly the problem that the marketing industry needs to solve. Make sure your creative is truly great. It evokes the right emotion. And make sure that you can use it in multiple places. And I know that folks can be sitting there and saying, well, how do I know if it's truly great? You know when it's great. Just the same way you know when you write a hit song. You know if it's going to be a hit. You believe me, I trust you. One of the reasons that so much average advertising is sent forth into the wild out there is that people just aren't thinking. They just aren't thinking about how people are going to respond to this in the wild. And make sure you do that. Absolutely make sure you do that. And again, do make sure that you can use it in multiple places. We did talk about the audiences all over the place, and you need to make sure that you can kind of hit them wherever. Number 4, integrate everything. In branding, we talk about touch points. And that's every place your brand, touches the consumer. So if you have a big ad campaign that is coming out, talk to the web team, and say, can we put the ad, up on our own website? Can we do some graphics that integrate in and show us show that we're the same company? Also, if you have the URL in a URL, if you want somebody to visit a web page in your advertising, it always makes sense to make sure that when they do that, they see sort of a same kind of look and feel that they just left in the ad, right? So they know they're in the right place. You ever go to one of those websites, you follow an ad, and you go to the URL and the look and feel is completely different? You're like, am I in the right place? That's not what I just did here. That all comes from internal communications. That all comes from bringing in the web team, with the advertising team. And I know you guys like to operate in a silo, and it's fun, and you're cool and everything, and, be cool somewhere else. Internal communications is very integral and important to any successful marketing effort, right? And I know what you're thinking. You're probably like, hey, those people are a pain. Every time I involve them, things take longer, and it's really hard to get things done. Too bad. You need them. They need you. Kumbaya. It's time to get the internal communications going and integrate everything. I talked to somebody about, integrated marketing communications. It's really hard to do. Do you know why it's really hard to do? Because you have to interact with all the people at your office in order to do it. And people don't want to do that. Certain people don't want to do that. So you have to create processes that kind of helps that, make sure everybody understands that, where the goalpost is and everybody's kind of going, the same direction. Very, very important. Integrate. Number 5, remember that your reach and frequency still count. According to latest research, it takes about 7 times with advertising to even make a dent in the consumer psyche. Sometimes people are like, oh, well, I ran one ad. One ad's not going to do it. They're not going to see it. You've got to have that reach and frequency. It's really, really important. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, well, Scott, you just told us don't bombard people with advertising that they're going to try to block. That's different conversation than reach and frequency. You're trying to get, I'm not saying do what CNET did and put all those ads, and don't repeat the same video game trailer on 8 ads. Really? Come on. Think a little bit. Once is not going to do it for your reach and frequency. So make sure that you have figured out your reach and frequency with any kind of media outlets. And all your outlets together, by the way. Once, much like the dinosaurs, the big ad agencies ruled the world, but not today. Today, advertising is still an important piece, but it's no longer the most important, and that is thanks to a changing world, as the CEO of Leo Burnett just told us. Because of social media, because of PR, because of new technologies, because of ad blockers, and because of increasingly fragmented audiences. The control freak in you will love advertising, and it feels good to have it out there, but make sure you're just not another blockable, skippable ad, and you're truly saying something worthwhile to your audiences. That's it for me. I'll be on Walkabout at Summer NAMM in Nashville next week. So you guys have a great weekend and a great week, and we'll talk again about this time in July. Have a good one. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Which sandwich is healthy and tasty? Which sandwich can come on bread or in a bowl? Which sandwich comes 51 different ways, so it's always your way? A which sandwich. Stop into our shop in Hazard Center. We're upstairs from the Hazard Center Digiplex. Bring in your movie ticket. We will add a free drink and chips to your sandwich order. Or order online at whichwich.com, and we will have it ready and waiting. WHICH, whichwich.com.
Has your business been appified? Are you tired of doing marketing that doesn't deliver results? Mobile apps build loyalty and quality retention. Your app from UPG Mobile puts your business on their mind and at their fingertips. UPG Mobile will give you a custom app highlighting how you are unique, targeting your message, and improving your open rates. Appify your business and amplify your presence with your customers at upgmobilemarketinggroup.com.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to record on a Grammy award-winning album? Have you ever wondered what it's like to play in front of a stadium crowd? Have you ever wondered what it's like to be on a world tour? I'm Jackie Bertoni, and I've played with the who's who in the music industry, and I've toured the world. Come join my world, behind the velvet rope, and get into the groove on Jackie's Groove. Live 2 p.m. Mondays and available 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com.
Hey, it's Catherine from Listen Local Radio. Moe's Guitars has proudly served the San Diego music community since 1975. Specializing in guitars, basses, mandolins, banjos, and ukuleles, they buy, sell, trade, and consign. If you're looking for lessons, repairs, accessories, and cool gear, you found the right place. Located in downtown La Mesa Village, stop by and check out their digs or visit moesguitars.com or their Facebook page. mozeguitars.com, 619-698-1185.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. Pitbullaudio.com.